to the third annual Department of Culture Cultural Conference. My name is Carlita Lodge. I'm the Cultural Program Manager at the Department of Culture, and I am thrilled to have you here at the Spinning Wheel Entertainment Complex. It looks amazing. Can we have a hand for Spinning Wheel? We're going to have some more enthusiasm in a little bit. I understand you're getting warmed up. You're at the bar. It's going to be a long night. We're here till midnight. So, before... You don't even know what you signed up for. Before we get too stuck in, I'd like to introduce to the stage the Honorable Minister Owen Darrell, Minister of Youth, Culture, and Sport.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening. First of all, I'd just like to welcome everyone here this evening. I noticed that there are many of our stakeholders from across the ministry here. I'd like to recognize, obviously, the Director of Culture, Dr. Kim Dismont-Robinson. Also, we have the Director of Youth, Sport, and Recreation, Ms. Kimberly Sharice Bean. We also have chairs of many organizations that partner with the Ministry of Youth, Culture, and Sport. We do have team members that work with us every day to make everything happen. So I just want to, before I get to my official remarks, say thank you to everyone. And if you are here tonight, it means you either saw a flyer and thought that you'd come and help us to connect, or you are one of our partners in what we're trying to do to get our programs out into the community. Carly, can I sit down and give this speech? I feel like this is the type of vibe that you're going for, right? All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm very pleased to be here to formally open the third annual Cultural Stakeholder Conference. This evening, we have an opportunity to have many of our creative and artistic stakeholders under the same roof, and this will allow us to have a lively and engaging discussion about some of the developments affecting your respective industries. This year, we have opened our conference to the general public, not just our stakeholders, because we want to also hear their views about how we can best support our creative artists. We're also pleased to host this conference in the heart of North Hamilton, here at the legendary Spinning Wheel Entertainment Complex. Let's give that a round of applause. This placement was by design, as an opportunity to highlight the economic, historical, and cultural importance of the North Hamilton area. And I don't want anyone here to take that lightly. Our networking forum following tonight's panel discussion will also feature refreshments provided by North Hamilton businesses. We would also like to encourage you to attend the Court Street Market Festival, which is happening on Sunday, May 21st from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Heritage Month is an ideal time to focus on our roots, our culture, and how we are all connected as Bermudians. And so I hope that you will make time to visit the festival next weekend. Our Heritage Month theme this year is a Bermudian Renaissance. The word Renaissance references, a revised interest in arts, culture, and literature. A Renaissance signals the rebirth and renewal of a culture, a style of art, and the architectural developed during the historical period. After 3 years of going through a once-in-a-generation event, we needed an artistic renaissance of our own, a refreshing of our cultural and artistic perspective. So we chose this theme because we recognize that Bermudians have always had to be resourceful. Our artists have always redefined Bermuda's creative offerings, whether it be visual art, spoken word, music, or dance. And this conference brings us together so that we can explore our evolving cultural landscape. This year's Heritage Month theme is particularly exciting, given the news that broke yesterday evening. Bermuda's very own Shanna Turini styled Beyonce's Renaissance tour. She's a perfect example of a Bermudian. She also went primary school with me, by the way. A Bermudian creative who not only is flourishing in her chosen career, but also paving the way for others. We are all extremely proud of Shanna, and as minister, I'd like to formally, publicly congratulate her for this incredible accomplishment. Now more than ever is a time to foster and strengthen our relationship, our collaborations, as well as our partnerships. Tonight, we will include a series of panel discussions, which will cover a wide range of topics, including art, artifice, and artificial intelligence, AI, the creative industries. The medium is the message, the difference between art and content, and finally, Hail to Bermuda, Bermudian identity and representation. We will also share with you some updates of the National Cultural Heritage Policy following our panel discussion. We will have a networking forum, and then we will close off the event with a Heritage Month kickoff party. Janari calls it a dance, if you saw the video. So tonight, not only do we hope that you have an exchange of ideas, but we also want to enjoy each other's company with a bit of social engagement. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for taking the time to be with us this evening. None of this would be possible, again, I'll highlight it, without the team of the Department of Culture. Particular appreciation to the Cultural Program Manager, Ms. Carlita Lodge, who's not only the lead for tonight's conference, but also the organizer for our very popular Bermuda Day Parade. I'd like to give her a round of applause. And also, if you have not been to the website, culture.bm, there is a link on there where you can donate to the Bermuda Day Fund. If you've seen the news, it's a fund that's been set up to support the participants in the Bermuda Day Parade this year. So if you have not already done so, even if you go and donate $25, $30, $40, $50, it will help a group participate in the parade. Special thanks to Carlita and our entire team for working tirelessly to make sure that all of the Heritage Month events are successful. Again, I want to thank all the participants here tonight and wish you all an engaging evening full of discussions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. We are going to open up with a little bit of creativity. So I would like to introduce a young creative that I'm so excited to see flourish. I'm not going to give too much in way of introduction because I just want you to be amazed in the way that I was amazed the first time I saw him perform, Cyan Simons.
Wow. Okay, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Cyan Simons. I'm going to be reading a piece of poetry. Oh, nerves, jitters. So I've said it a couple times. I've read this poem more times than I can count. But so I wrote this poem around November of 2021. And in essence, I was really mad. I was really annoyed because I had just started my hair journey. I just started growing out my hair, and I was really frustrated about people giving input when it wasn't invited. For all my peoples in the crowd who have been to True Stick the last couple times, I definitely heard this one multiple times already. So please, don't get too upset with me repeating myself. But yeah, before I get into it, I'm going to say what I always do. If you remember, then say it with me. The Erykah Badu quote, keep in mind that I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. Know that. Stop talking about my hair. Long, kinky, coiled or cut. Stop talking about my hair. That backhanded blatancy is making me hate black people the more I hear when you're going to cut your hair. Because that ignorance is not of us, but Lord knows it's in us. And of course, its roots are watered by the best of intentions. How could I hope to get a job with a head like that, with messy, knotted hair like this? You'll always look like you're fresh out of bed. I don't care. I don't want your input. Stop talking about the hair in my head. It's not messy. It's mine. It's me. Why is my hair a statement before I so much as breathe? When I enter rooms, I feel turns shift. You don't see me. You see my gift. The locks of love shelter my mind. I hate you for asking. Keep my hair out of your mouth. I've never wondered about your preference. How locks only look nice when neat, how afros are fun but maybe not realistic, how much better I looked when silk hit my hair and short neat waves were the most expression I made. Stop talking about my hair. I understand why we do it. I get it. From generations of trauma gifted by the forces of hate, racism, xenophobia, tokenism, I am well aware of how professionalism begins with your hair. In white spaces, race is best kept quiet. Your words make me feel so ugly. I don't have any drawn-out ancestrally guided metaphor about black pain born in the belly of wooden ships, about black bodies broken and torn by whips, about black hair stuffed in chairs to make cushions, about leather made from black skin. I don't have much creativity to describe it. It just hurts. When every time I'm greeted by another black person, the first thing they do is pause. After our hands meet and I hold your palm as to hail you, you scramble for the most appropriate insult, so you don't like haircuts. Nah, I don't like haircuts. I like castor and coconut oils. I like the defiance of that one coil, the one that sits on my forehead. I like how my big sister braids me up. I like how even from my seated position, she never speaks down on my head. I like the coldness of the floor and the comfort of knees as my support. Putting my right side of my jaw to the ceiling, pivoting the world sideways. I like moving to my hair's desire. I like feeling the fullness of my hair. I like feeling that resistance when I run. I love feeling it pulse when I swim. This love is new to me because for so long I never knew this luxury. I never knew how good it felt to decide for myself growing up. My hair wasn't my own. It belonged to the discretion of my parents, or the opinions of my family, or the banter of my classmates, or the rejection of my love interests. Growing up, my hair didn't belong to me. It was the cuttable piece of my identity. And it always seemed necessary to cut it shorter. Because black boys don't have long hair. Black boys don't have long braids. Black boys cut the locks. Black boys get bold fades. A lot of black men can't cry, but I promise I bawl. When it rains, it pours, and that's how my tears fall. I've learned to love pieces of me that I never knew existed. Listen closely or you'll miss it. My niece is 4. She's 6 now. With the intelligence of a 20-year-old and the confidence of an Olympian, she is an opinionated force to be reckoned with. Just like me, and my brothers, and my sisters, and her mother. My niece is black. Her favorite song is Brown Skin Girl. When I drive, she controls the music, and the song rotation is predictable. Though the song has become sickeningly ingrained in my mind, I can't say I'm tired of hearing her sing it. I've always been black. I've always known I was black. My parents told me to know that black is a great thing to be, but hearing my niece sing, it puts a melody to the beauty of blackness. Because me and my guys never sang along to a song that celebrated us. Not a song like this, not a song that said, don't touch my hair, not a song that called our bushy, naughty nests a crown. It is upon black boys that black boys look down. It is upon black backs that batons crack. It is in black ears that hate holds space. It is in black eyes that contempt resides. Because we've long been taught to hate each other. Why in black spaces is my natural hair a statement? Why in the company of my community do I feel questions that only hope to inspire self-hate, natural or straight? This debate is tired. My father told me that we are sons of Solomon, a black king and emperor. But neither you nor I are royals. There's no fault in that. There's no issue. The greatness of black heritage isn't based in monarchies. The greatness of black bodies is our presence, our might, our unrelenting perseverance, our defiance, our variety, our diversity, because we hold space in whatever form we come. We are the booming bass line and rolling waistlines. We are the second line shoulders down in Mississippi. We are African blood in Caribbean seas. We are a rainbow. French vanilla, butter, pecan, chocolate deluxe, even caramel sundaes to get in touch, you get me. We are the heat of the tropics and the strength of a continent. We are the weight that grew too great to be bared by poplar trees. Let me run that back. We are the weight that grew too great to be bared by poplar trees. We are the trendsetters. We are the culture. We are one extensive community. We are one people. And we are so many places. And we must protect every segment of us. Protect the lovers. Protect who and how they love because they are of us. Protect the fighters. Wrap their hands in cloth and steel and ready them for the daily war. Protect the families. Because though it may be modeled or misshapen, this family is mine. Protect your people. Love who you love because life isn't guaranteed. Protect authenticity. Because identity is unique and fluid. Protect me. Protect them. Protect us. Protect yourself. Extend the love that you have longed to have, and don't you ever fix your mouth to tell me to fix my hair. It was never broken.
Keep the applause rolling for Cylon. Thank you. That was amazing. Now, he mentioned that he performed that a few times at Chustik, and I just want to give a little shout out to Chustik because the Department of Culture is actually sponsoring their Heritage Month open mic. That is the last Sunday of this month. I think that is Sunday, the 28th of May. It's at Blue Waters Anglers Club, and it is $10 entry, free for performers. So if you have a song in your heart or a story to tell, please come out and join them. They do great work. And for many people, that might have been the first time they came to Spinning Wheel. Definitely, that was the first time I came to Spinning Wheel, was through Chustik, and it's become a favorite for me. So I'd like to move this night along to a Department of Culture update. So I'd like to introduce our fearless leader, Dr. Kim Dismont Robinson, to the stage.
Thank you, Carly. I don't know about fearless. And certainly not following up an act like that. Proud auntie. Can we give another round of applause for Cyan? Okay, well, first of all, echoing my minister's statements, thank you so much for being here, for gathering with us tonight. Heritage Month is all about celebration. Bermudians celebrating who we are and what we do and why we do it. Although on the surface of things, discussing the National Cultural Heritage Policy for Bermuda may not feel celebratory, policy discussions are sometimes a little bit dry, a little heavy, but let's begin with the fact that the policy is the whole reason why we are here tonight. Goal number 6 of the 6 goals of the policy is implement and review. So a key part of the National Cultural Heritage Policy for Bermuda is ensuring shared ownership by all stakeholders, the cultural heritage community, who are joint stewards of the goals and ideals of this policy, will regularly review, revise, and recommit to the policy goals, meeting to take place annually during Heritage Month. And so here we are. For those of you who are not familiar with the policy, we do have it available on our website, culture.bm. I would absolutely encourage you to read it from start to finish. We actually have the long version for those of you who also like poetry, because we've got a number of amazing Bermudian poets whose work is featured there. But also for, if you want the shortened version to get straight to the point, we have that version there as well. So tonight is a perfect example of how policies have real-world implications and applications. So I wanted to start the evening, before getting into the really interesting dialogue, to celebrate just a few of the successes of where our department has been working to implement aspects of the policy. So we've already covered Goal 6. So a sampling of Goals 1 to 5. Goal number 1 of the National Cultural Heritage Policy is to promote culture and develop our creatives. There's a section of the policy which speaks to encouraging creativity and strengthening production capacities by setting up educational, training, and exchange programs in the field of cultural industries. One of the ways that we did that this year was through our brand new program, Creatives Culture Labs. We did, was it 15 in total, Carly, over the course of March? Yes. With a variety of topics. This was open to the public. Pricing artwork. Michael Walsh, I think, is here tonight, who spoke on that. How to build a creative portfolio, video editing from your pocket, and all rounded out with the Department of Communications offering professional headshots to the people who participated. And again, part of this was a developmental, has a developmental aspect to it. One of the things that we really have committed to in terms of our mission with the department is the development of our creatives. And this was one way that we saw of being able to provide some very sort of concrete tools to put it at your disposal. Goal number 2, preserve and protect our cultural heritage. there's a section that talks about encouraging, supporting, and commissioning original historical research, preferably by Bermudian historians. For those of you who aren't aware, and I'm happy to announce this now because May is, in addition to it being Heritage Month, it is also Nurses Appreciation Month, I believe. There was a film that we had that we developed with Burnt House Productions entitled Healthcare Heroines, the Era of Segregated Nursing in Bermuda. The stories that came out of this project were amazing. We conducted oral histories with a number of the nurses who would have experienced that here in Bermuda. And in addition to the film that we created, we actually created, where we had it on display at BSOA, stories that came out of those oral histories. Meredith Eben was the principal researcher for this. I think most of you are familiar with her work. And everyone knows her as a veteran journalist. What a lot of people don't know is that she was a nurse as well. So this was very much a story that was full circle, and we were delighted to have that as part of our emancipation programming for the year. Goal number 3, include culture in our national development plans. There is a part of this which speaks to exploring opportunities to show the cultural and historic connections between sports and Bermuda's social development. Obviously, because our department, our sister department in the ministry is the Department of Youth, Culture, and Sport, and giving a shout out to my sister director, Sharice Bean. We're very happy at the way that the department is looking at sport not only the way the ministry is not looking at sport only through the actual application of it, but the way in which sports is really an integral part of our social and cultural history. One of the films that is currently in progress that I think there's been a fair bit of press around is a celebration of the legendary Clyde Best. The ministry has provided support for this, and we cannot wait to see this film in progress, in its conclusion. Milton Raposo is one of the Bermudian filmmakers who is working on this project. I'd also like to give, by way of a little preview, our emancipation programming for this year is going to feature a film about the story of Cup Match. We've collaborated with Dr. Dana Selassie on this film, as well as both of the cricket clubs. And so please keep an eye out. I think we're aiming for, and I saw Dr. Dana is here tonight, I think a July 21st launch of that film, so stay tuned. Goal number 4, establish cultural connections. We speak about fostering opportunities to reconnect with and celebrate the common ties between Bermuda and our core cultures. We are so excited this year to have provided sponsorship for the upcoming powwow that the St. David's Island and Native community is hosting in June. Please mark your calendars, June 10th and 11th, down in St. David's, and it is going to be amazing. It's been 4 years since they have been able to gather in this way, and we're incredibly excited about this program. Last but not least, assisting with cultural administration. Support private sector initiatives and encourage private sector investment in culture. My minister has already talked about the Bermuda Day Fund that we launched just a few weeks ago. The purpose of this fund is to provide a vehicle through which private donors and organizations can support community groups who would like to participate in the Bermuda Day Parade, but need a little bit extra financial support in order to do so and to help offset the many costs associated with participating in the parade. We know that day is a day when we all celebrate the glory of being a Bermudian, and so in whatever way you can assist these groups to be a part of making that happen for all of us, please do. This is actually a really good place, since we're talking about funding, just to segue into a discussion on the department's cultural funding opportunities. You've probably seen this on our social media, thanks to the amazing Aziza Furbert. The Heritage Grant is now open. The applications are due on the 31st of May for organizations or groups that have cultural preservation as their primary goal, as part of their primary mission. There is $65,000 available in total in relation to this fund. It actually sounds like a lot, but when you start looking at the amazing work that all of these cultural organizations that apply for it do, we wish we had more. Last year's recipients include Bermuda Historical Society Museum, the St. David's Island Historical Society, otherwise known as Carter House, the St. George's Historical Society, St. George's Foundation, the National Museum of Bermuda, and Masterworks. So please get in your applications. Last but not least, the Bermuda Arts Council. We give, for this year, the budgeted grant for the Bermuda Arts Council is $117,000. In addition to the annual awards ceremony that takes place next Sunday, the 20th of May at the Earl Cameron Theater. Next Saturday, sorry, 20th of May, Earl Cameron Theater. And university student scholarships due the 31st of May, which I know the new council chair is going to be speaking to. The Arts Council is the very first, and in some cases only, place where artists are able to apply for grants for their projects to a maximum of $7,500 per individual and $10,000 maximum for organizations. So for all you artists who are listening, there are funding opportunities available for your projects. And I wanted to take this opportunity just to draw attention to it, because it is amazing to me how frequently we have these applications, first-time applicants, or people who say that they were not aware of the council and the work that the council does, or the money that the council has specifically for the purpose of funding artists. So please apply. If you have a project that you'd like for us to support, consider supporting. Culture.bm is our website and sort of the first place to go for applications, more information about any of the programs that I've talked about tonight. So that wasn't too bad, right? For a cultural policy wrap-up, I think that's all right? Not too bad. At this time, I'd very much like to introduce the brand new chair of the Bermuda Arts Council, Miss Shanna Hollis. Shanna, welcome.
I am mini, so I don't have to sit. Okay, good evening, everybody. I am honored to be able to be here tonight. I would like to thank the Minister of Youth, Culture, and Sports, the Director of the Department of Culture, and our previous chair for allowing me to serve as the new chair of the Bermuda Arts Council. I am pleased to be able to sit alongside such a group of well-respected and talented ambassadors of the arts. As a council, our role is to improve the knowledge, understanding, and practice of the arts. We also work to increase the accessibility of the arts. The council is made up of a group of stakeholders who cover all genres of the arts, including visual arts, performance arts, writing, literary arts, photography, cinematography, and the list goes on. One of the biggest ways that we support our artists is through our grants. We have our student grants that we do annually for those who want to further their education in the arts. We're currently accepting applications via bermudascholarships.com. Our deadline for applications is May 31st. To find the applications for individual and organizational grants, you can access them through culture.bm. One way that we highlight those that have made significant contributions to the arts community is through our annual award ceremony, where we give a Patron Award, Lifetime Achievement Award, as well as a Founders Award. This year, our award ceremony will be held May 20th at 6 p.m. at the Earl Cameron Theater at City Hall, which Kim just mentioned. And all are welcome, so I would like to see you there. While serving as the chair, my goals are to increase the Arts Council's visibility across media platforms, to develop programs to help students preparing for schooling overseas, and to strengthen the relationships with working artists and students. Thank you so much, guys. Carly said to keep it short and sweet.
Thank you very much, Shanna. Now I am going to introduce our next performer. You might not have even seen her advertised because I twisted her arm today to perform. So she's a surprise. One of Bermuda's very best poets, Aisha Townsend. I didn't even need to do the introduction. Wow. However, before she comes on stage, please buy tickets to the Bermuda Festival performance that she's in on May 20th, DIA and Friends. KASE, who's also on one of the panels today, is also in that show. It's going to be very dynamic. Aisha, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello. Hi. I was doing other stuff, and then Carly was like, what you doing tonight? I'm like, I'm busy. And yet here I am. Also, you know when you want to be like cool adjacent to people who are cool? Shanna's my cousin. Just want to throw that in there. All right, so I'm going to do a little poem. It's called Catalogue of Bermudian Scars. I think I titled it Appendix A Endemic. If you know me, you know that this place, this strange little composition of rock and sand and sea and salt, is the absolute love of my life. And it's the thing that I think I've devoted a lot of my time and energy and whatever research into. And so that's what this piece is about, and that's what most of my work is about, is excavating my experience being a Bermudian person, and being a Bermudian person from a lineage and line of other Bermudian people, looking at our historiography as a whole, our cultural expression, because it's the most important thing, and as a person who is a product of cultural rearing, you know, again, let me get cool adjacent. Kim, Dr. Dismont Robinson, is my mentor. You know what I'm saying? Blap, blap, all day. And, you know, she wrote my job recommendation. Thanks, Kim. And like all of my colleges, I was like, Kim, you got another letter, please? Send it through, send it through. I'm trying to get into grad school. But I watched Kim for years and pulled apart her poems. I didn't take anything, but I modeled. And shut up, Matthew. Everyone here is rude, you lot. But I modeled myself after this person, and I definitely grew culturally through the ranks. I feel like now, as a lecturer of English at the Bermuda College, a whole grown-up, you lot. That's a big part of that is because of you, you know, and you putting me in programs. I should do this. Come look at this. I was like, I was sitting outside of Kim's office at one point, helping her. What was I doing? I don't remember, girl. Something, work. But this department is important. Carly is, I'm doing that girl way too long, bro. Like, see when people get upset when you start saying things? But this poem is about the things that we garner and gain from being a Bermudian and from being in love with Bermuda. And just like any love, you'll get hurt. And the first hurt that you're gonna point to is your centipede bite. Dual identical punctures. The classification is severe. The presentation is more common for and-dwelling islanders. Refer to St. David's, St. George's, Sands. The dictionary describes a scar, and you capture live centipedes to entomb in vinegar. Point to the bite by dog, feral cat, wayward chicken, attained by wandering. Refer to spittle pond, botanical gardens, foreign backyards. Raid your mamas, grandmamas, aunt is apothecary. Match me canned leaf, saltwater rinse nettle tea. If it's a nettle scar, learn how light cures, homeopathic healing. Consider dipping your fingers in the bottle of vinegar, soaking centipede remains. The dictionary documents trauma. You cross-reference your skin, point to a scrape by barnacle. You should wear sneakers when jumping off docks. By limestone, you should dethrone a wall with better grace. By road rash, you should ask the gods for auxiliary mercies, healing, dependent upon the salve. Likely, an ointment of red, iodine, mebromin, tiger balm, things that reiterate the act of bleeding. When asked to describe a scar, you always point to suffering and never the effect. Someone asks about the oval on the back of your shin. What is it? That's right, by muffler burn. A perfect star so close to dying into a memory it fades more every day. Point to the chicken pox mark above your eyebrow. The sea lice hive raised from non-mariners that one time. Dither down the dictionary's description. Promise yourself a trauma. Make a love interest out of your healing from the bee sting on your wrist, which is almost as extinct as the bees are. No one even has that scar anymore. You forget you have it. You just lump it with the others, call it a rash, but point to the stripes on your stomach like railway tracks raised by jellyfish. Man of war, tentacles burning in sea that wrapped around your torso. That beach debris had to peel off. Refer to scrape, not like limestone or barnacle or road rash, but like the act, like pulling flesh from bone. The dictionary calls your name. You index your sores by weight. All your pain becomes a superficial cicatrix. You point to remedies, soak in oatmeal baths, grow your nails to scratch. The skin is elastic, but you'll dig a ditch to raise a flood and temper it with calamine lotion. You dark, marked thing, backhand raised Caliban, freckled and flecked. If you're a Mohawk, and if they pulled your ancestral carcass from a slave ship and washed it as white as it could get, refer to St. David's Islander, refer to island gibbets. Consult the dictionary. The discoloration on your shoulder has to be Bermuda rut, a blanket of sunspots. Rub yourself with dandruff shampoo. That's the wives' tale. Anyway, the dictionary describes a scar. You wonder what ships were to the reefs, and what shipwrecked man were to the cahals, and what blight was to the cedar. You point to the sea, gather sargassum for your woes, you bathe in it, put it under your tongue, chew thrice on each side for toothache, spit it out like a lie, like you wasn't born here, like your tongue isn't an anchor, like your accent isn't a pass to code switch when you wander too far to a scar. You can't remember how you got, but got by tradition, like pomp and circumstance and chance encounter. Consult the history, call the dictionary, run your fingers down till you find treasure. Your existence is a roll of dice and a gamble that the tempest had with a vessel headed to Virginia. Look for a scar, point to it. In the soil, there are like 5 cedars left. In the earth, there are no more cahals. In the sea, sargassum only came back 2 springs ago. The ocean is boiling. How will you even baptize yourself? The dictionary describes a scar. 1, a mark left by a healed wound, sore, or burn. You see yourself unbandaged. 2, a lasting after effect of trouble. You touch your rib cage. 3, any blemish remaining as a trace of or resulting from injury or use. You never know what to do. Unfounded, you find 4, a mark indicating a former point of attachment, as where a leaf has fallen from a stem. You research, consult, check, reference, look for, look under, look inside your archive. Skin like a logbook of every hurt you've ever had. Broken bird bottle to the ankle, fire coral to the foot. Barracuda ripped your bracelet off and then nipped your arm. Cricket ball bruise, cricket back callus. Liver spots from Guinness. Elephants, swizzle, black, dark and stormies, tempestuous mouth, riotous tongue, that tames at Tucker's Town, Fairylands, or any other private drive you know not of. Gumbears left your knees weak, pulled muscle from football, broken heart from losing that cup match every year. Don't say nothing, Katura. Don't say nothing, Katura. Don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. Shout out to St. George's. You gather what Nanila say. You gather up your wars, every scale peeled of your years, weary you having a plot to bury it in. You earn nothing but your pain. You pray to the monarch on your flag, ashes to aspirin, dust to duchess. You palm a pound of sargasso and set it in a palm frond, pirate over casuarina twigs and berries. Cedar is way too precious to make an altar of yourself on. To set fire, you ask for St. Elmo's and the wind to collaborate. You look out to the sea. You consider swimming to fix it like you did as a child for a stuffed up head and a sore throat. But you're already here, all ready to burn. You'll be as good as new soon enough. Not like loss of sands, not washed, decayed. something that fertilizes something else. Refer to Sally Bassett, refer to Bermudiana flower, early cadaver. If you're lucky, you'll come back as an island. Thank you.
One more time for Aisha, please. Now, who's going to go home and buy some tickets to the Bermuda Festival show for DIA in France? No? Nobody? Just me? All right. Well, that's weird. You guys have all made me feel uncomfortable. We are now going to get into the mix of it. So, Ben, can you help me here? Just untwist it. You know what? During the Creatives Culture Labs, we had a whole workshop on this, but I still don't want to do it myself. I still want help, which just goes to show. We had a whole culture lab on mic handling skills. Look at me! I did it, guys! Our first panel is on AI, Artifice, and artificial intelligence, on AI and the creative industries. So can my panelists on this panel come up? We have Michael Walsh, Devray Denwiddie, Mischa Fubler, and Matthew Johnston. Come to the stage, please. We didn't choreograph this part, so bear with us as we figure this out. It's weird now. Hey, guys. Hi.
Hello.
So I'm just going to tell everyone in the audience so that we're all in on a big secret. Everyone's here now. We're all friends. Okay? Facts. Thank you. So I promised all the panelists that, I didn't want them to prepare. This was super casual. This wasn't a prepared speech. In fact, they didn't even truly need to be experts on this because in culture, we're super casual. And then they came and they were like, what's with all these big chairs? What have you done to us? Why is it so, this looks formal. No, guys, no, it's not. So we have been, I think that one of the things that has been in the news topically a lot is AI and artificial intelligence. And it's a thing that I don't know a lot about, but I have been researching. And Snapchat helped me this week by putting an AI without my consent into my phone. And then also, very strange, a friend of mine decided to feed my photos into an AI bot to see what would happen. That was also very strange. So now, the internet has my face. And so when you see a version of me with 12 fingers, thank you, we'll see what happens. So the first person that I'd like to speak about this is actually Michael Walsh. He is a lecturer at the Bermuda College, and he is going to answer this question for me. Michael? Okay. Is AI art really art? We've seen a lot of these Lensa app, I think it was, that people were putting in their picture and they came out looking like woodland nymphs and things like that, and then changing it into their profile picture. Is that really art?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say I didn't know I had to be an expert to be here, so let's get that over with. I think tools are very important because they give us the capacity to work beyond ourselves. But for me, at least, I think the most important thing is that art is the study of humanity. And I don't just mean from outside. I don't just mean academically. I mean the richness and the viscera of humanity, the gods and the beliefs and the fears and the sex and the dancing and the everything else. There was, I can't remember, but there was a line from a movie where it said, a camera doesn't see a person. You need the artist to see a person. Well, you need a person to see a person. So I think the easy answer is no, I don't think so. And I think the distinction or at least the distinction I think about, is the difference between art and decoration. So art would be the expression of a perspective, and decoration, even when we do it, is the result of an algorithm. Like, we know this, and this looks good, and we know this, and this will be responded well to by other people. So with knowing absolutely nothing about AI at all, except that it scares me, I would say no, I think it makes decoration.
And we talked a little bit, we did a little preamble about this. We talked a little bit about the difference between sort of art and craft. Do you think that in some way AI could produce like a craft?
Growing up, there was a lot of argument about art versus craft, and I don't think that's an important distinction. I think worrying about that is a waste of energy. A cabinet or a chair can be as much art as anything else, and you need craft to make anything. So I do think the difference isn't between art and craft, but between art and decoration.
So for somebody that is an artist, if they're using a tool like artificial intelligence to help them produce their art, is it still art?
Yeah. If you use a camera or a chisel or paint, it's not too often people make their own paint. Smith, do you make your own paint? No. If it's an expression or exploration of human experience, then I think it's art. And I don't think anything should be outside. Oh, there's another. Oh, I wish I could remember names. There's another quote about if we want to move into the future, or we want to learn or grow, we can't be scared of what the artist brings back from their journey of self-discovery. So, yeah, no tool. A tool is only dangerous if you hold it like a weapon. So, any tool should be accessible to any of us.
I like that. I like that.
I stole that from a song.
You didn't have to tell me. You
good.
didn't have to tell me that, and I would have been so impressed with you right now.
Walsh.
We're all friends here. We would have believed you. We're gonna pivot sort of topics for a moment, and we're gonna move over right next to me to Devray Denwiddie, who is representing Genetics, my friend Dr. Karika Weldon's company. Do you want to start by telling us a little bit about the company?
Sure. Again, my name is Devray Denwiddie, and I am actually the branding and marketing manager for Genetics. And Genetics is actually the world's first Caribbean-based genetics company, created, like you said, by the Dr. Karika Weldon, to ensure we can level the playing field. Right now, genetics is revolutionizing healthcare, and it's revolutionizing the way that we are able to take care of species. So Genetics is put in place so that us as people in this region are able to stay ahead of this curve and able to utilize some of these great things and tools that are coming out.
So we were talking before, and science isn't your background.
No.
So, and I was speaking with Karika before about involvement of this, and the Department of Culture works with Dr. Weldon talking about her Cahal project. And I think, was it today that it was announced that there's a lecture coming up? You can plug that too.
Yes, we do have a lecture coming up. We're going through a lot of biodiversity projects that we have coming down the pipeline, with the Cahal project being one of the first. we are actually the first people to and again, I'm not a scientist, so this is a little different for me, and I'm new to the company, so excuse me. But this cahal DNA is being processed, and we're the first persons to do it. So it's very interesting and exciting stuff, and hopefully we can use the information that we gather to further support the species.
It's very exciting. So as someone who doesn't have a science background, how are you using AI to help your growth?
Okay, so right now, at this stage, it's staying ahead of the learning curve. Like I said, I'm a tech guy. I build a lot of websites. I'm a designer. Build a lot of brands in my professional lifetime. So right now, it's staying ahead of the curve. I always talking to scientists is a large part of my day-to-day and working with them and understanding the language and the terminology that they use. So right now, it's for research purposes. Eventually, I would like to be able to take a lot of the data that we are collecting and train up bots and potentially be able to use that as learning tools for students and for scientists and professors and anyone else that would like to take advantage of that data that we're about to collect. So it's a beautiful thing.
That's really cool. I somehow a few years ago got copied into an email chain about Cahows and never wanted to be taken off. I was like, where did the Cahow emails go? This is so cool. I think it's very fascinating, and the Department of Culture isn't just arts, there's also the folk life part of it. So thank you. The next person up is Mischa Fubler. He works for Ariel Re, and he's going to tell us a little bit about using ChatGPT, large language learning models.
Large language models, sure.
Yeah, I don't even know how to say it, see?
I'm Mischa. Most recently, I joined Ariel Re's team, but prior to that, I've done a lot of data engineering. My background is not specifically in computer science, but when I did a career pivot, I went into IT, and I definitely had courses on artificial intelligence at the master's level. The lecturers I had, the professors, it's interesting. I got sent on a course from my employer on AI and big data in utility grids, because I used to work for Liberty. And the same course book that certification had was written by the professors I had at Brooklyn College, which is heavily state subsidized, CUNY network. And so large language model is all the rage right now. It's gotten a lot of kind of media attention. It's not necessarily very new. Jeffrey Hinton, I think if you watch traditional news media, he was interviewed recently by ABC. He's the godfather of AI. He recently left Google, who has a large language model of their own, BARD. There are many of them, and at kind of the base level, these things are doing statistics. Everybody who's like, math, I'm never gonna use that in my life, you're using it every day indirectly, and these large language models at a very simplified level are taking what you pass in, the input, your sentence, your prompt, the reading material, you're asking it to summarize, and it's doing complex math to kind of guess what word best fits next in the sentence that it writes you. And I guess a couple applications I've done recently in that, my objection to the Southampton Princess SDO, I had ChatGPT write it for me. I fed in the environmental impact assessment. I said, here's the environmental impact assessment, write me about 1,000 words, objecting to it based on the reasons raised here. And it did, 80% of the way. I had to edit some of the paragraphs, but it got the kind of high-level gist. There were some instances where it was quite apparent it didn't understand what should be the subject of the sentence, for example. And that's kind of one of the downfalls I wanted to get into with that. When you use large language models for research, if you're asking it questions about things you don't have any kind of background understanding of, it's difficult to kind of differentiate between what's accurate information being spit out by that math, and things that it just said, well, I'm 80% sure this is the right word to put next, so here you go. And you don't have to look very hard on Twitter to find folks who are, they mess with it, and it says, what's 3 plus 4, and it says 7, and you tell it, well, no, actually it's 10, and it says, oh, I'm sorry, well, so now it's 10. And so the input is really important into these models, and one of the other concerns is, even though it's open source, you can look at the kind of the code that drives it, the foundational model, you don't have access to the training data. And I only had 3 minutes, so I'm not going to give you kind of the full scope of artificial intelligence in the different schools, but these language models are part of unsupervised learning. You say, here's your terabytes of data, read in and form your own assumptions. And when you leave the machine to kind of think on its own, it naturally brings some concerns. And so one of the things that we all need to do is make sure that we engage with these types of technologies so that you can bring up these types of issues. I think the reason Carly invited me is I said, well, I'm going to play around with this and try it out. And so I asked ChatGPT, give me, just for the techies who might be in the room, give me a recursive function that traverses a binary tree depth first, which if you do computer science, you know what that is. They like to have that on interview questions. It's fairly complex, and you can get it on Stack Overflow in 30 seconds, and ChatGPT gave me a recursive depth first search function in 10 seconds. It knew that, and I said, okay, well, now changing subject, tell me about Cecil Rhodes. And so, it gives me kind of the high level, because again, the input, the data set is probably just the internet, and those of you that have been out there know, there is good information out there, but there's also a lot of bad information. And the summary it gave me was, he founded De Beers, he was this and that. And I said, well, hey, but what about the racism? You didn't mention that at all. And then the response I got was, oh, well, we're really busy right now. Come back in like 3 hours. Well, that's concerning. So I left it overnight. I came back the next day, and I said, so how about now? And they said, oh, we're still really busy. Come back in 5 hours. And that made it even more concerning. But kind of to get to the end of it, that was user error. I was on a website that was making requests to ChatGPT, so the delay was, they're sending it off to the actual site, and so it's in a queue. And I switched over to using OpenAI's site. I didn't get that same kind of delay, and it did give me a blurb that kind of talked more to the controversy of who Cecil Rhodes is as a person. I think most of the folks might know, and if not, you should look it up, just probably not with ChatGPT. That's 3 minutes, right?
Yes, thank you. So before I move on to our last speaker, I just want to say you probably got a little card as you walked in. This is how we're doing our Q&A. If you have questions, please write them on the card. We are trying to limit how many questions we take. We're going to take the best questions, so make them good. Then our team is going to pick them up from you in our discussion portion, and we will get to as many as we can. But remember, we are having networking after this, so you can hunt down your favorite presenter and ask them. The last person on the stage with us is Matthew Johnston, who is an educator, adjunct professor.
Wow.
Somebody.
I've been an adjunct English professor at Temple University.
Thank you.
This last semester. Yeah.
I was gonna promote you, and then I was gonna make you a full professor. So Matthew has been told me like a day or two ago that he actually had fresh content for this, which is that students are using ChatGPT for plagiarism. So can you tell us a little bit about your experience with this as an English professor?
So it's kind of hard to classify it as plagiarism, but I've been grading papers this week, and it's been a few that I come across, and there was a lot of suspicious stuff going on in like the patterns in sentences and certain repetition of words that I noticed that weren't in like other papers and things like that. But also, it was bringing in sources. Like, for instance, it was a paper that it was one source. You had to do a rhetorical analysis. And it quoted something that wasn't even in the source. So, and said, this person said blah, blah, blah. And I wrote on the paper, where did this come from? Because this is not in the source that you're using. So it's been kind of interesting because with the learning management system that we use at Temple Canvas, you can make it so that everything goes to turnitin.com, which checks for plagiarism. And now they've added an AI detector. And the AI detector is not totally accurate. There were some things, so I was doing a whole thing where I was checking the AI detector that was connected to Canvas, and then running it through another one just in case, and it showed different numbers. And it was just kind of like, okay, so it's no way to fully tell if they used AI, but the papers were usually pretty bad. So maybe I feel like college students just trying to figure out, it was probably a thing of not knowing how to work the prompts, not going back to read over the paper, just trying to get an assignment. But also, we can't really prove anything. So the university doesn't even have a policy right now to address that kind of thing. But there was definitely a few papers where I was just like, huh, they are using furthermore a little bit more than I would expect. And, or just like other little things that would pop up that would make me suspicious, especially if they chose to write about a topic that wasn't really the topic they were supposed to write about, but was loosely connected. But it's been an interesting journey, especially since this is like the first time teaching at the college level.
So all of these AI examples are sort of disparate, but between all of them, I think is an interconnected thread. I mean, we have two educators on the stage. Michael, if you had a student turn in a piece that had heavily relied on some sort of AI model to create the base of their art, do you think that would be counting as plagiarism?
We call it creative solution finding, not plagiarism in the art department. No, because you can do all sorts of things like that anyway. You could trace something, you could work from somebody else's work, you could get help, like maybe you don't weld and you're trying to make a sculpture, like all that stuff is fine, as long as you cop to it. Like if you say, oh yeah, I did this and you didn't do it, then it's cheating. But otherwise you're just trying to find a solution to a problem, which is cool.
Okay, now if anybody has anything written down on their cards, now is the time to hold them up and Dr. Kim Dismont Robinson will collect. No? If not? Yes? Yes, Kim's,
I see a hand in the back.
we've got some hands in the back.
Close your eyes.
Mischa, I had a question about, in terms of large language models, do you think that the way that the tech growth is continuing, and you did say, and I don't think that you said this, but you did say that you were going to tell everyone this wasn't actually your area of expertise.
Yeah, I'm not an authority on
He's
this
not
subject.
an authority on the subject. He's just interested in it.
Yeah.
Do you think that the way that it's growing now, that it's going to sort of outpace what are currently like the established websites for information?
I think it's too early to say, to be honest. So I touched on that interview with Jeffrey Hinton. He did 20 minutes or so with ABC. And this type of technology has existed. He was doing work in this space in the 80s and 90s. The computers weren't powerful enough to do the type of work that they do now. And so Analogous to that, when we had the ATM first come on the scene, the big talk was that it was going to replace all of the bank tellers, and banks as we know them would change forever. And any of you who bank in Bermuda will know that is not the case. It's still a pretty typical experience to back when they introduced the ATM, unfortunately. And I think it's a similar thing. It's going to give you more options. It might help to kind of create some more competition in that space, because right now the big players in search, it's like Google, and then everybody else is an also-ran. They're like not even close. But Google's actually worried. You see they're changing their strategy to kind of adjust to these developments that other companies are making. But one other point that this Jeffrey guy touched on is that, actually I lied, take that back. This is from one of the VPs at IBM in this kind of business strategy space, that the amount of capital required to kind of train your model is still pretty prohibitive. Like, it's going to take quite a bit of kind of getting that economy of scale where the technology becomes cheap enough that it is commonplace before we see that kind of competition there. All that being said, Bing already uses ChatGPT in its search. If you want a new search engine, try Bing. It's using large language model, apparently.
All right, we have one question, and I want one-word answer from everybody, and then we're going to move on. Will AI in general do more harm than good?
Pickle.
I said one word. I didn't say yes or no.
Word. I want to say more than one word.
You have to give them the why or why not afterwards.
Maybe.
Fair.
No.
No.
And the reason I said one word is because we are running late, and so you have to stay for the networking part to get the rest of the answers. Can we have a round of applause for these presenters? Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks for having us.
I just want to thank you all for being here. I'm not wrapping up or anything, so don't get crazy. But I want to thank you all for being here. We started a little bit late, which means we're going to run a little bit late. But that's okay, because we have this place booked till midnight. Woo! And, you probably saw our commercial because Aziza ran sponsored ads, which means that we have a big Boschman dance at the end. And you definitely don't want to miss that. But I realized that some of you came straight from work. So there is some refreshments just outside the door. I know that you are all excited to know that that's catered from Jamaican Grill, straight across the street. And there's Ashley's Lemonade from actually, it's not straight across the street. However, Ashley's Mama's shop is just straight down the road. And we're very, very excited to support the Uptown area. I've been wanting to do an event on Court Street for a long time, so this is like super exciting for me. Note it. I'm putting this mic back on the stand, although I don't know if that's what he wants. But I'm gonna assume that that's what he wants. It's not even the right mic. I'm doing all the things wrong, guys. But I'd like to introduce the next performer up, an amazing rapper by the name of Jay Mizzle. Oh, snap! Oh, snap! I brought him out of retirement with a song called 441. Let me get out the way. I got all this stuff up here.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. Yes. First of all, give thanks to God for being here today. That noise that you heard, thank you all for being here, and thank you especially for those people that made the most noise, because these people have been instrumental in keeping me in the creative space. Carly called me out of retirement. KASE over there got some of the best memories of my creative life with your boy. So, yeah. So we're gonna get to it. So I'm gonna take that quote from earlier. I am a creative, and I'm sensitive about my stuff. Yeah. And I also don't have the best memory, but I'm challenged. I'm challenged to do it without reading it off my phone, because the beat's playing off the phone. So if I don't get it right, I'm gonna have to take my phone, and somebody's gonna have to beatbox. We're gonna have to take it all the way cultural. I knew it was gonna be him too. All right, DJ. Yeah, or that could, cause hey, that might have to do. Yeah. Okay. 1 minute. Hey. And if you listen to the lyrics, this type of event is a counterbalance to some of the issues I'm talking about. So, here we go. Atlantic Moor, I adore where I'm from. 90s born, 2 4s and a 1. Pink sandy shores, looking good in the sun. It's your life, paradise, that's a chord in the sum. We ain't poor, but push more in the slum. Naughty money like water, can't afford it to run. The news reports, it's a shortage of funds. Only way to make money, more tourists to come. Or you're born into one. I ain't sure we love pouring the rum. I was bored for the summer, liquor store for the fun. Pull it up again. Okay, pull it up again. Hey, yeah. Yeah. All right. I adore rum. No, that ain't right. Okay, look. Atlantic Moor, I adore where I'm from. 90s born, 2 4s and a 1. Pink sandy shores, looking good in the sun. It's your life, paradise, that's according to some. See, we ain't poor, but push more in the slum. Naughty money like water, can't afford it to run. News reports, it's a shortage of funds. Only way to make money, more tourists to come. I ain't sure we love pouring the rum. Take your chance, or you're born into one. I was bored for the summer, liquor store for the fun. Not much was on, couple sports for the young. Fights was hands, 2x4s for a run. Knives, taking lives, going war with a gun. That's the formula for some, but I'ma do it right here. Something good in the lungs. I don't know if I can leave you, but loving you ain't easy. I see they wanna take you from me, but they don't wanna see us hungry. I know that I could never leave you. Loving you ain't easy. I see they wanna take you from me. Hey. Left on the shelf with the price of bread. Might as well throw it out the back, feed the mice instead. Or we could sing that song, when a life that's good and groceries hit the girl price instead. Make it make sense, cause I make dollars. Working blue collar over 50 hours spent. Every expense could keep a man spiritual, cause I need a miracle this month to make rent. More than I complain, more steady saying, I'm trying to feel the change it, I'ma have to play the game. When it's time to leave it better than when I came. I'ma make Michael Collins have to learn to say my name. Jamming, not jamming, Bucker call me Jarman. No weapon form against me prosper, cause I'm Johnston. Everything comes from the source and we are one. But I still believe in me, cause I'm awesome. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Hey! Wow, that was really loud, sorry. I'm such a fan, Mizzle! Oh, Harshy's not even there. I wanted a sound effect like burp, 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 burp. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Now, I'm gonna say it again, support the bar, because the bar supports the vibes. Thank you all for staying here and continuing to be here. Ooh, not the disco ball. Isn't that pretty? Our friends at Al Shaddai help make us all so beautiful. It's a full community event tonight. So, our next panel up is The Medium is the Message. Can I please have my panelists to the stage? Y'all know who you are. I'll introduce you when you get here. So I would like to welcome Stephan Johnston from SJD World, graphic designer and also poet. He's not doing any poetry for us tonight. You're gonna have to check him another day. We have Perri Furbert from Gold the Label. She didn't bring her bag up here, but I have to plug that Mother's Day is on Sunday. So if you don't know what your mom wants, what she wants is a bag, sunglasses. I know what she wants, trust me. KASE, who is a rapper, audio engineer, musician, videographer, kind of does everything. And Aaron DeSilva, who is also a videographer, photographer, musician. We've got a lot of multi-talents up on the stage today. So we are talking about the difference between art and content. And it's something that is sort of a heavy topic right now, because particularly in the social media age, people have to continue to put out a lot of content to get eyeballs on their brand, whether it be a personal brand or their business. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's always art. So I'm going to start actually with Aaron and ask you, what's the difference between social media art and content?
Yeah, this is a big question. 3 minutes. Go.
Go.
I mean, art is a word that gets thrown around a lot these days, and for me, it's any expression that feels authentic to you as a person. So that can be manifested in a lot of different ways. Now, with social media being such a big place for people to consume art, content, whatever it is, that's given artists a platform to put their work in front of people for free, essentially. In my opinion, I think it's a very positive thing. Now, speaking to the difference between art and content, like I said, I think art is simply an expression that can come through as a thought, as music, as whatever it is to you. Content is a means to an end. It's a piece of something to gain something. So whether that's for a brand or a person or an artist, I mean, artists can make content, artists can make art. It's different, or they can make content that is art. So I really believe that the difference is content is a means to an end. There's a purpose behind it. There's you're trying to make money off of something. You're trying to get attention. You're trying to get likes. You're trying to grow, do whatever. There's an intention specifically behind it, and that can still be art, but it could be something else as well. Whereas art will always be something that is authentic to you as a person, and it is something that's very true, and it will always remain that to me.
Great answer. Now, you can actually see right behind Aaron some of Stephan's work. The Department of Culture's logo was designed by Stephan and his team at SJD World. SJD Boss. And he is, I'm not sure when your show is, but having a show of digital art, is that correct?
Yes.
So what's the difference for you between graphic design and digital art?
It's a tricky one. I would say between art and design, to kind of open it up. Art, like Michael had said, is self-expression. So that could be painting, sculpting. It's the artists expressing themselves and how they see the world and their perspective. Well, graphic design does use visual, but it's a profession and uses color and typography to solve a communication problem. So if you've got a product and you need to figure out a way to communicate that to the masses, that's where graphic design comes in. So we're creating marketing material like brochures, logos, websites, all that falls under the graphic design realm of things. And art is self-expression. So that's how I see it.
And when's your show?
Yes, so we're putting on a graphic design show. We partnered with Bermuda Blueprinting, Cosmic Design Agency, and BSOA. And it's going to be opening night's June 23rd. If you're a graphic designer, make sure to go to bsoa.bm/GDS to sign up. It's going to be a really great show. So it's all of our work. It's not a competition. It's a showcase. So anybody can submit work. It's very rare that graphic designers come together. So this is going to be this is the second time we're doing it. So it's going to be a good event. I'm excited.
Cool. Now, another area that is, I'd say, emerging as a way for people to share is podcasting. So, KASE, can you tell us a little bit about how people can tell their story through podcasts and how that's picking up in Bermuda? Or how you're helping people tell their stories with podcasting, because I know that you've been part of that.
Podcasting in Bermuda, as far as storytelling, I feel is very important. As a kid coming up in Bermuda, just trying to soak in as much Bermudian artistic stories as possible, I found that a lot of them were in outdated documentaries and very short radio interviews, and I never felt like I was able to walk away with enough information about this particular person. So long-form interviews / conversational pieces in podcasting in Bermuda I find to be very, very important. Shameless plug, I did a podcast probably about, 10 years ago called Way of Saying with Bobby Swizzle. Shout out to your boy. And we made sure to speak in long form with a lot of Bermudian artists, and we felt like it was important for us, but also important for them. Being an artistic artist, I feel like I'm talking too much. Being an artist myself in Bermuda, I always felt like I was rushed. It was like, oh, we'll interview you. Here's a 30-second plug. Tell us about yourself. Here's your song. Okay, commercial. And I always felt like used and like you didn't really know who I was. So I wanted to be able to create a platform for artists to really be able to express themselves and show who they are, because they are people and they're important. So that's why I think it's important.
Thank you. Now, Perri is a person that, although she has gold the label, like I told you, if you were outside getting your food, this is what your mom wants for Mother's Day. GoldTheLabel.com. Gold the Label on everything. Although she has her brand, she also is a marketing person, does freelancing marketing, PR, she does it all. And so she does it all. There's the sort of differentiation between doing creative work for yourself and your own personal art and doing creative work for other people. Does that scratch the same itch? Do you feel creatively satisfied when you have done external creative work?
Yes and no. So I think for creatives in Bermuda, it's really hard, and that's why I'm so grateful for this space, so we can have these conversations more, so we can encourage people to hone their crafts and get better so that your passion work can be the thing that pays you as well. But in this country, that's not always the reality, so you have to then take on projects that extend from your creativity, but they also pay the bills. So to answer that question, I think it can, but I think honing in on your skills is really important, so then you can monetize that in a way that will scratch the itch. Because I've found that in trying to pay the bills, I've done a lot of creative work that I didn't really enjoy, but I had to do it. And I'm sure everyone here can kind of attest to that, where you're doing it and it just doesn't fulfill anything. But the thing that drives you is the fact that you're going to get paid. And I think that's really frustrating for artists and creatives to monetize your art, because then it's not fun. You're not getting to express yourself or tell the stories that you want to tell, which is a part of why Gold the Label started. I was expressing myself with decorating shoes, and I posted an album on Facebook, and then people were like, I want this. And then a business started. But expression is really important, but I find that it's really hard for creatives everywhere, but particularly in a country where the cost of living is high. You can't monetize that and then live off of that. So then you have to do work for other people that might not necessarily scratch that itch. But once you get good at that thing, you can then pick where you want to go and how you want to do that extra work, and you can almost pick your clients and say, I need the money, but I'm good. So you're going to pay me this, and I'm going to work for you this time, and et cetera. And I, by way of Gold the Label, and in the early years of Gold the Label, not having any resources at all to do anything, I became the photographer, the editor, the marketer. I learned a lot of things through YouTube University. I am a forever student of YouTube University. But by way of that, I learned a lot of skills that are transferable. So now I can pick my clients, and I can say, this is when I'm available to you, this is how much you're going to pay me, and this is what you're going to get. And say that with assurance, knowing that that was sink or swim for my business. So I think it's really important to differentiate that and to really encourage people to get good at what you're good at innately. What you can do naturally, learn how to do that really well, so then you can work, get the external work to then scratch the itch.
That's a great answer. And I think that when we started thinking about this panel, Kim was telling me some advice that she received years ago from Dr. Angela Berry about not feeling like working in creative work that is exciting to you and that you love. Like, we are very lucky to be able to do the kind of work that we do at the Department of Culture, and it's great, and it takes all of our time. And, you know, that sometimes means that we don't get to work as creatives on our own personal projects. And sometimes we get so wrapped up in working on these other projects that we forget. Like, no, I've done some creative stuff this year. I did Bermuda Day. Like, did you do anything creative about that, or did you just organize a parade, Carly? Whoops. So, since we're all friends here, you guys can hold me accountable.
Yes, do your art, create some art.
So now is the time, if you have any questions, to hold up your cards. Within this panel, I have a question for KASE, actually, because I have to confess that I struggle to listen to podcasts. Like, I don't think that it's a medium for me because I like reading. However, I like it when they're filmed. So do you think that there's a difference in the method of...
I'm actually the complete opposite of you. I don't like filmed podcasts, to be honest. I fell in love with podcasts because it was an audio experience. Yeah, I understand why, because some people have a hard time sitting down and listening to people talk. But yeah, for me personally, I think podcasts is say audio. If you want to do a talk show, put a camera in front of you. That's just me, though.
Okay, I don't see any cards coming up, so I will thank this panel, and I will remind everyone that you can talk to all these fabulous people if they stick around during the networking session that will happen very shortly, because we have one more panel, 2 more performers, and then we're going to talk for a little bit, and then we're going to have, what do we have in Janari? He's outside. He's outside enjoying the food. Big Boschman dance. Thank you very much. Can I have a round of applause? It's okay.
Okay.
Now, the next performer up, I have to say, I am so thrilled to finally have her do this song. As a way of introduction, We tried to have her do this song a few years ago, and for reasons I won't even elaborate on, she had to do some other songs for us. But now, as a preamble to this panel, Sade Lee is going to come and do an original arrangement as she makes her way up with her guitar. Sade, yes, as she makes her way up. An original arrangement of, just grab that orange mic, of Hail to Bermuda on her ukulele.
Hi, guys.
Can I have a round of applause for Sade? I know you're tired.
All right, before I start, I'm gonna give an explanation because I love to give explanations. So my family is very traditional in terms of like Bermuda's culture. Like every 24th of May, my family is in the exact same spot, and they've been in the exact same spot for 30 years, right? And the same goes for Cup Match. We're in the same spot at Clearwater, right in the front, right there. You can see us all nice and low, right there for the same for 35 years. And a few years back, I brought my ukulele with me to camp. And my cousin and I, it was me, my cousin Johnny Furbert, and Shiloh Furbert. We were sitting at the beach and we was playing a game. And how the game worked was I would play a random song and they would pick another random song and try and put it together. For example, I would play Don't Worry About a Thing by Bob Marley, and my cousin would sing Hakuna Matata, and we would try and put it together and make it work. So one of the songs that we did was a song that I particularly like called Death of a Bachelor by Panic! At the Disco. And I told my cousin to sing Hail to Bermuda. And that's how this song came to be. Yeah. Is it on? Is it? Okay. You guys can hear that? All right. Hail to Bermuda, my island in the sun. Sing out in glory to the nation we become. We go from heart to heart and strength to strength. The privilege is mine, and we'll sing long live Bermuda, because this island's mine. Hail to Bermuda, my homeland dear to me. This is my homeland built on faith and unity. We go from heart to heart and strength to strength, for loyalty is prime, and we'll sing long live Bermuda, because this island's mine. We go from heart to heart and strength to strength. The privilege is mine, and we'll sing long live Bermuda, because this island's mine. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, that's my national song. I don't know about you lot. Sorry to be political. Sorry, boss. So our next panel is called Hail to Bermuda on Bermudian Identity and Representation. So can I please have Makeem, Bartley, DJ Rusty G, and Katura Horton-Perinchief to the stage? I'm gonna jump right in. Makeem is a very talented hip-hop artist. I'm gonna talk that talk, you know. Makeem Ori, if you wanna look him up, or his earlier work, I don't know if you want me to even reference that, under Has the Human. So, all of his work has been performed in a Bermudian accent. Can I have some applause for that? And most of it talks about Bermuda as inspiration. So can you tell me a little bit about, was it a choice to use your accent? Did you just do it because that's how you speak? And why are you talking about Bermuda?
Good evening, everybody. Yes, I had a few influences, including Mischa right there. I actually went to the same school as him. I'm not going to talk about my traumatic school. But I found that most of my peers, at least like folks my age, were kind of not referencing culture in ways that I felt like I could. And like, it just made me a bit sad to see that people, not only in art, but just in real time, they kind of talk their accents for the sake of professionalism and just to be palatable, right? So, so I just kind of adopted that because I think it's important to take a hold and preserve some things in our artwork and in our anything that we're leaving behind for folks.
Fair enough. I can't say how big a fan I am of your work.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Next up, I'm going to speak with DJ Rusty G. Griffith, who is, most of you know, a DJ, but I don't know if you all know, is also the driving force behind many of these big hits with Fire Wayne, and our DJ is outside still. So as soon as the networking starts, he is definitely going to play the newest song of the summer, One Blood.
Thank you, Carly, for that introduction.
Yes. So, jumping into my question for you, you've represented Bermuda as an entertainer. Some artists talk about, and I mean internationally, some artists talk about, you know, Bermudians not giving love, or it's hard to get love in Bermuda. Can you speak a little bit about your experience sort of building that wave for yourself and for the music that you've worked on, and as a DJ as well?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I think I can speak for myself. I can speak for pretty much every artist around the world that getting love at the beginning is hard. It's very, very difficult, and it's difficult here, and it's difficult everywhere around the world. And so it's something that was like a realization that I had to come to terms with, is that I had all these big goals, all these big dreams. I want to be international. I want to fly all over the place, and I want to do all these different things, but I can't skip the steps. And so that was kind of like the big, I don't know, epiphany that maybe I had in my life, where it was like, if I want to reach 1,000 people, I need to know 1,000 people. I have to get uncomfortable. I have to start networking with people and getting to know people outside of my circle, outside of my comfort zone. That's the only way I'm going to get to that space. So to answer the question, or to say, you know, love and support, what I've found is that Bermudians actually tend to show up and show out way more than a lot of other people do around the world. I can say firsthand from Ubasoka Cruise a few weeks ago that the Bermudians was representing hard, very, very hard. But you got to understand that there's steps that you got to take to get to that place for them to represent for you and to support you personally. So that's kind of, you know, my take on that is that, do they support? Absolutely. But there's certain steps and certain things that you have to put into place first.
And just to plug something that you had initiated with the department, last summer we did a series called Quest for the Best, which expanded on a song competition that we had previously done that was sort of an artist development series. Do you want to just talk very briefly about it?
Yeah, I mean, it was something that I felt, you know, as a DJ who has always kind of been doing what I can to support Bermudian artists. I noticed that there was some holes in some areas where, you know, our artists weren't creating certain types of music. They just didn't seem motivated to be part of that. So Quest for the Best was really something to just try to bring people together and talk a little bit more about certain things and share experiences and, you know what I mean, try to share some of the knowledge from those of us that are traveling and are doing different things to bring it all back full circle to say, how do we elevate together as a whole collectively?
And I'll say that for us who've just completed the culture labs, like, I'm so excited that everyone here is in this room. You're all the people that are meant to be here, all the people watching at home on CITV. You're the people that are meant to receive this message. So thank you for tuning in, for showing out. But it's hard to get people to actually believe that they need to improve, and that's part of the process and part of the challenge also. So, you know, that's also something that we came across also. Aaron DeSilva, who spoke earlier, said something I found quite profound during the Culture Lab series. He said that you feel quite terrible if only 20 people like your Instagram post. But if you stand in a room with 20 people telling you that you're great, that's really weird, like very overwhelming. So it's sort of a matter of perspective, and you can lose perspective very quickly. I'm going to move over to Katura Horton-Perinchief. If you all don't know who she is, let me tell you. Katura Horton-Perinchief is a Bermuda treasure, the first Black woman ever to dive in the Olympics. And will be the chef de mission at the upcoming Olympics for Bermuda. So very exciting as she transitions into a new role in the games. And I'd like you to speak on two different things for me. Okay. I know, I'm asking you two questions at once and asking you to do it very quickly. Can you tell me a little bit about what it's like representing Bermuda as an athlete, just in case it's different than as an artist? And also, can you tell me about any initiatives that you might have or any ideas you might have about what might make it different for the athletes for the upcoming Olympic Games, for their own sense of national pride?
I don't know about the second one. The first one, first of all, I'm really excited to be here. I am, for all intents and purposes, not so much a creative, but I'd like to think that I'm a bit of an artist. And I'm definitely a student of my craft, which is sport. You know, I love what you said about love and getting love in Bermuda versus internationally. For me, this is the place where I've felt most loved and most supported. And for those of you who don't know me, I grew up in Toronto. My entire childhood was spent there, and I represented Canada on the junior, in the junior level for a number of years. So when it came time to think about things like the Commonwealth Games and the Pan Am Games and the Olympic Games, it was a bit of a choice. So I got to choose between my country of birth, where my people are and my roots are and my heart is, and the nation that raised me and turned me into the super athlete that I ended up becoming. And for me, it was not a hard decision at all. Bermuda is where my heart is and where my people are and where my blood runs. For me, my spirit has always been fed by diving off of Watford Bridge and Admiralty House Peak and those types of places. I learned to dive off of boats and bridges and rocks. So this is where I'm from, and this is where I will always belong. So every time that I have left Bermuda shores with Bermuda emblazoned across the front of my Speedo or on my back and going into these large arenas, it has just been such an honor to be from here, to be of here, and to be of all of us. So that's what representation for me is for Bermuda on the international stage. With respect to what might make the Olympic Games different this time around, I am an Olympian, and I will be the first Olympian to lead Team Bermuda into that stadium in Paris, where I think that the unique part of that experience comes from me is that I am, again, I'm one of them, I'm one of us, I'm an Olympian, and what is important to us is also important to me. So things like, and Carly knows this, and it brings me so much joy to hear a young Bermudian come up here and sing a song that resonates with all of us. So as long as I'm in charge of a team, and I hope it's not presumptuous to say this, but whenever I'm in charge of a team that represents Bermuda, whenever a Bermudian tops the podium, Hail to Bermuda will play.
Can we have a round of applause for that?
It's a song that is distinct to us. And when we beat the pants off of every other country, especially the one that we call our mother country, when we have to stand up on a podium next to somebody from another country, I want our distinct anthem, our distinct song to play. And it's important to us as Bermudians to hear that.
That's very big news and very exciting.
Let me reiterate, when a Bermudian tops the podium.
She said when, not if, when. Well, I can't wait for the Paris Games now. I'm ready for another public holiday when we get another gold. When several more golds. Department of Culture is ready to do another public holiday. I didn't volunteer that. I'm just personally ready. I can't do that. My boss is here. I don't know if there are any cards in the audience for questions here. Yes, there is a card over there. If somebody from my team could go collect it, please. There's a card over at the bar. I have a question, just as that's gone to be collected. Do you think that we have national pride?
Can I?
Yeah.
Okay, look, I don't know whether, you know.
Yeah.
In my experience, in my opinion, I think before about the 15-year mark ago, I think it was considered a way of life as opposed to us donning like culture. And I think in the sort of 12 to 15 year gap there, in my experience, it's been sort of like untethering from the parody of us existing in the culture. We had to unravel a lot of like just negative feelings about our own culture, you know, in my opinion. You know, there are people that would say like it's too deep for us to highlight some of our own issues like within our art, and to, you know, use the accent in our art and just highlight our own experiences and champion our own experiences. That was considered corny at the time. Like, I think we've done a lot of healthy adopting of, you know, just what is culture and what is unique about us. And our relationship with ourselves and our self-esteem, culturally speaking, I think it's getting a lot more healthy as we go. Yes.
Good answer.
I would say, do we have national pride? Absolutely. I just think that the difference between Bermuda and maybe other places is that it means something different for everybody else. So if you were to ask a Jamaican about being Jamaican and the pride that comes with being Jamaican, I think universally, if you ask 1,000 of them, they would say very similar things. But I think if you ask Bermudians the same question, you get very different answers. Yeah. So I think that's the difference that we're trying to work through, and then you as creatives and us just trying to figure out, well, how do you represent people that, you know, all have very, very different ways of thinking and very different, you know, values. But when you ask, are you proud to be Bermudian? Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that if you say, what is it to be Bermudian, we can't all be like, oh, you know, fish cakes. Like, that's not that exciting. But the passion is there. It's just the answer is not the solidified answer. Katura,
Do I get to answer that one?
Yeah, of course.
Goodness, I feel like I already did it. Yeah, we have a lot of national pride. And you know what else? Whenever I leave Bermuda, and I mean, a lot of us can speak to this, whenever we're overseas and we can pick a Bermudian out of the crowd, you know they're Bermudian. They got that, you know, that shirt, that, you know, the shirt with the hoodie. Bermuda, the hoodie with home. And I was actually on a flight to Sydney, Australia, and somebody looked over and said, "Are you from Bermuda?" And I said, "Well, how you know?" And she said, "That's a map of Bermuda, and is that the home shirt?" It was all folded up on my lap. Sure. There's no way she would have known, but she got it from Bermuda Tees. So yeah, we got it. We got national pride.
Okay, I have a question for Rusty. What was your trajectory in reaching a local audience, and do you have any advice for someone that's up and coming?
That's a really good question. I think I might have touched on it earlier, but when I said, like, you know, I had a realization that I had to get out of my comfort zone and I had to step back. And I think that us as creatives, entertainers, artists, musicians, whatever you want to call us today, we're all very passionate about what we do. We love what we do, and we're very, I would say, tunnel vision into what we're doing and what we believe our vision is and what we think the world needs to see from us. And my advice would be to take a step back and not necessarily take that you're not getting where you want to get to at this moment as a personal attack on your art. Think of it as you have to put yourself in the shoes of somebody else and say, well, if I was them, would I really even be caring about what you're presenting me at this moment? Because I have my own problems, my own issues, I have my own things, I got my own stuff going on in my head, so why am I worrying about you? You know, so it's almost like you just have to take that step back as a creative to say, you know, in order for me to impact somebody else's life, I have to kind of just slow down a touch and figure out how to make that connection with that individual and start your tribe. You have to start small before you can ever think about reaching the millions. You gotta be one person at a time. And if you find people that really, really rock with what you're doing, you need to show them love and support everywhere you go, every step of the way, because those are your people that are gonna carry you to the next step and to the next step. They're gonna bring that wave in for you. They're gonna be the ones that are gonna make sure that everybody knows about what you're doing and why you're doing it. So that's what I would say, you know, for anybody that's kind of looking to build that foundation of getting that support. I mean, everybody's different, so what works for me might not work for somebody else, but I think that, you know, that's just what I've done and what I continue to do as some principles in my life, and it hasn't failed me yet, so.
Great answer. Thank you. Well, I would like to thank the three of you for representing, talking about national pride and Bermudian identity with us. Can we have a round of applause for these panelists? We have one more performer, and then I am going to turn this into a networking session. And the final performer I am so excited about. Who here remembers ITIL Foundation? That was my mama. Jules Roberts. I know that I probably blew this by telling you that I was such a big fan of everybody that performed tonight. However, you want to sit? It's the orange mic. Please give Jules a very welcoming round of applause.
Thank you very much for your warm applause. How's everybody doing? I don't know if I should be asking that question. We're just doing, right? Yeah. It's been a while. It's been a while since I actually hit the stage like this. Yes. It's been a while since I've hit the stage. And Carlita done got me out. It's been about 4 years. She asked me to play this song. It's called Fairy Tale. I had to dig it out of the archives. Put it back together. So if it skips, it jumps a little bit. I'm paying no mind. You get it, you get the idea. Yes. I'm telling you this is a story, and it ain't no fairy tale. Of some homegrown Bermudians we all only know well. We all know very well. Well, I know old Tommy Tucker. He's black as night, like his paddle bike, and he straddled the saddle. You'd never see him paddle. Now ain't that a tobacco life? Now ain't that a tobacco life? Oh, I'm telling you this is a story, and it ain't no fairy tale of some ordinary Bermudians. We all didn't know. We all got to know very well. Was an old man they called Weatherbird. He could predict the weather at will. Buy him a drink and a whistle and a wing. tell you, tomorrow will be hot like hell. By tomorrow, it'll be hotter than hell. Now, I'm here telling you this here story. And it ain't no fairy tale of some ordinary Bermudians who we all know. Well, I used to see a man they used to call Dada D. He always sing the same tune. So you say, ooh, whoop, and he'll reply, oh, my loving heart. Oh, my loving heart. I'm here telling you this is story. Ain't no fairy tale. Some ordinary Bermudians go to know. I used to see 5 days a week, oh, Johnny Bond, and the roundabout there crawling. Says, I love you. Waves and smiles he gave away every day. Waves and smiles he gave away to make your day. I'm telling you this here story. And it ain't no fairy tale. Some grown Bermudians, we all that know.
Yeah, something like that. Thank you.
One more time for Jules Roberts. A legend. Now, before we finish up, right, I have an important question for you all to think about. And then we're going to finish up. But wait, before I ask you the question, I need to tell you about my outfit. Oh, here we go, the minister says. So, you don't know this, but before any event that I do for my department, I go to my friend Ed Carlington at Toxic Rose Boutique on Court Street, and he dresses me. So, my dress is from Toxic Rose, my belt is from Toxic Rose, my shoes are from Connections, because all of my clothes come from Court Street. So shout out to the Uptown vendors. And since we're talking about creatives, my jewelry is from Courtney Bushner of Raw Island Jewels and Satori Notes Bangles. So if you want to talk to me about where you can get dope clothes in Bermuda, you can actually always buy local, and you can often buy handmade. All right, that's it. That was my little shopping plug. You already got Gold the Label from me. My one little question for you to consider while you're meeting somebody new during our networking session, which we are going to cut short because I know how eager you all are to turn this into a big bashment dance, is the department has received some feedback and a proposal to change the Bermuda Day route. It's not happening this year. Don't panic if you are involved in the Bermuda Day parade. It's not happening this year. In the future, this has been a suggestion we presently turn onto Church Street. The proposal is to continue along Court Street and then turn on Dundonald Street. Thank you. All this talking, I've forgotten. Turn onto Dundonald Street and then turn onto Cedar Avenue. We would like to hear the stakeholders' feedback of the people in this room and let us know what you think. So please, talk amongst yourselves, find a member of the department staff, let us know what you think. We'd love to hear from you. I'd like to thank the Spinning Wheel Entertainment Complex for hosting us here. Shout out to King Gyrus Sound, DJ Hershey. P.S. Marva O'Brien has joined us in the back, so I don't think we got to acknowledge her in the beginning. Hi, P.S. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you again to Minister Darrell for supporting us as always, a very supportive minister, Dr. Kim Dismont Robinson, the rest of the Department of Culture staff who have been here along the way, making sure that this event has been flawless. And of course, all of our panelists and performers, you've done a great job. I am going to get off the stage now. Reality Sound, thank you for supporting us. And the CITV team for filming us. It has been a wonderful panel discussion. Now DJ Hershey is going to play a song from a performer that unfortunately couldn't be here. This is From Bricks. This song apparently is #1, and I'm not sure if it's Russia or Sweden. Take Me Through the Night. Thank you very much.